What's up, Claudia? It's a pleasure to have you on the show today. I'm so excited, or the episode. I don't know what we call this, but it's a fun hangout time. Claudia, I'm so happy to have you on board hanging out with us today. I am super duper excited because I am so in love with everything about you. Not you, everything about you. So we've gotten the opportunity to meet each other in certain networking aspects, and this is how I'm getting some of the folks to kind of jump on my channel and do a quick little interview to help those people out there in YouTube world. So you will be on our channel, and we're going to kind of put this information out there. So we don't need to know your blood type, your social. We don't need that yet. All right. We just need to know about how did it work for you and how is it working for you. It's just so if someone is doing a search out there and you happen to pop up, guess what? Why wouldn't this be an actual reference that someone can go back to and says, you know, I heard this lady from Miami, or this girl from Miami, and and she just said some things that really resonated with me, and that's the goal, as it did with me when I first started doing this world of my own business of listening all these YouTubes and all these tutorials and how do I do this, how to do that. So we're gonna keep it extremely basic as I have been in the past, and just kind of go into these little aspects of business. So with that being said, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Nice. All right. So let's tell us your name and where are you from?
My name is Claudia Cobreiro. I am an attorney in Miami, Florida. I am a partner at Feinstein Mendez and Cobreiro, PA, and I have lived in Miami almost my entire life.
What? Wait a second. Let's start with your name is in the business. So are you a partner? That's what that means, right?
That
Isn't
is
that
what it
like,
means.
aren't partners all old and ugly? What's going on? What's happening?
Look at
So
us here.
you're like young and you're kind of doing what's up? Where's that coming from?
I found two people crazy enough to believe in me, and that was my first blessing. And then my second blessing is that I worked really hard and I was a little lucky along the way.
Nice, nice, nice. So when you say working hard, well, what does that mean for someone on the opposite side looking? Because I will admit, as a business owner, I meet a lot of people, and people don't understand there is such thing as laziness, even though you're busy. So what does that mean by you? They got lucky and all that stuff.
So, I not only went to high school, directly to University of Florida, directly to law school. I literally didn't even take summers off because my goal was to graduate. I didn't want to go to school. I hated school, but I knew I had to go to school to be successful.
Yep.
That's a myth, but that's a conversation for another day. But anyway,
Yep.
that's what I grew up hearing. And so I wanted to finish, and I just did it straight through. I didn't even take summers off. And then when I graduated, I started doing work immediately, and I didn't look for jobs that like paid a lot and were chill, because why? They don't necessarily provide opportunities for growth. I wanted growth. So I wanted to get, elbow grease and go in there and do what I could. Every opportunity that I had, I took it and I learned, and I was blessed to have and still have great mentors that helped me along the way.
That's awesome. So with that being said, let me just go off script a little bit. So did you actually do some work, not the word free, but did you actually volunteer yourself for certain things so you can learn, or no?
I did, and one of my biggest mentors, which I actually had a mediation with yesterday, now that we're both adults in the real world, I worked at a clinic for domestic violence victims through the FIU College of Law.
Okay.
And shout out to Kareem Batista. He was the director at the clinic, or my supervisor at the clinic as an attorney. He was my supervising attorney. And so we went in on Saturdays and met with low-income women in abusive relationships to help them file for domestic violence cases and divorces related to the domestic violence. But really, that was something I did only on Saturdays. My last year of law school, I, don't come from a wealthy family, so I had to work full time while I was in school, and I, had to leave work to go to school and leave school to go to work. So I always looked for paid opportunities, but I did put in some hard work in between.
Right, sure. Wow, that's pretty awesome. What a great story. You're a true patriot. That's awesome. With that being said, so you mentioned, so you said your family, you said the word family, and that kind of sparked the next thing. So I would imagine that you come from a family line of attorneys in your family. So let's talk about your family. What's your family background that you're now an attorney? So how'd that happen?
So for those of you who don't know me, I am Cuban. I was actually born in Cuba. I came here when I was 4 years old.
What?
And my parents like many other immigrants, left everything behind to come to this country so I could be whatever I wanted to be. There's a caveat to that when you're Cuban. Whatever I wanted to be were really only two options. I could either be a doctor or a lawyer because everything else is completely unacceptable in the Cuban culture.
Didn't
And
know
so,
that. Did not know that. Did not know
what?
that.
Yeah, that's like a super Cuban thing. But anyway, so my mom was a doctor in Cuba. And when she left Cuba, obviously, she was no longer a doctor. She came here to take care of me and my sister. I have a twin sister. And daycare is expensive. So my parents decided it was better for my mom to take care of us. And so I always had a dream as a little girl that I was going to go to college and become a doctor because my mom was a doctor. And that's why I went to the University of Florida. But when I got there and I started taking organic chemistry and algebra, and I was like, no, mom, love you, but not gonna work out this way. And so my only other option, as I say it, was to become a lawyer. And so that's what I did. And that's how I became a lawyer.
That's amazing. I'm just amazing to hear the fact that, I mean, again, you don't even come from that field. So you're creating generations of your family line in the attorney world, because normally, like you said with your mom as a doctor, the younger ones always want to follow either titi or mommy or so on and so forth, who's a family attorney. So that's, well, who's attorney, a family in the attorney that's in the family, which is awesome. Wow, that's great. Nice story. Love to hear that. So let me ask you this. So how did you begin? Like, how does someone that's maybe going to college or that's kind of looking at what to do, or even just not sure what next steps are? So if you had an opportunity to tell someone, how do you start, in your line of business, how does that happen?
So rule number one is being an attorney in real life is nothing like being an attorney on Suits or all these TV shows that we watch that we think it's so cool and you dress up and you go to court and it's so glamorous. It's hard work, it's good hard work, but I actually didn't know that I wanted to go to law school until my very last year of college. And I bounced around between a bunch of different majors. I thought that I wanted to be law enforcement at one point because I wanted to be like a crime scene investigator or something like that. But then I heard I had to be out on the streets, like in a patrol car for a couple of years before I could do that. And I was like, not happening. I explored public relations, and because I'm outgoing sort of, but I'm actually really shy when I first get to know people, so that didn't really work out. So I really just tried out a bunch of things, and I would say the number one piece of advice that I would give to anybody starting out in any career is you have to be determined that you're going to succeed no matter what. And I can tell you that I will put in the work to make my goals happen no matter what that work is. And number two is find an internship, do some research, like shadow someone, make sure that what you're getting into is something that you actually want to do. Because a lot of times, we have that skewed perspective of like, what an artist does or what, an attorney does and what a judge does. And sometimes when you actually sit there and you're experiencing the day-to-day, you're like, this isn't really for me, right? So if you can shadow someone, even if it's not like a steady thing, just once or twice, figure it out, make sure that that's something that you can see yourself doing every day.
That's a good idea. Wow, that's great. I've heard that before from business owners that I deal with. So you know what, my daughter's 18 and trying to figure out what her next steps are. She wanted to do this once. She wanted to do so many other things, and why don't she let her shadow somebody to see what it's like. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So good to know.
Send her over.
That's right. So that being said, going back to where we are today, and right now we in this world that's something in the world called COVID, right? And again, it's all affected many people, and we're gonna know about this whole pandemic that's happened throughout our entire lifetime. So with that being said, I want to kind of go back before COVID, so which is 2020 January or 2019 in December. COVID did not exist. Here we are. 2020 is going to be the year. I mean, all that stuff happening overall, that whole conversation. Now here we are back in the later part of 2020. COVID is still around, and we're trying to like throw it away and get rid of it, but it keeps popping up one way or another.
Loves it a lot.
Yeah. So with that being said, what was life before COVID? Because after that, I want to ask you, what is life after COVID? Because some businesses actually thrived and some didn't. Some people hustled and some didn't. They just sat back and relaxed. So again, now just tell us, what was life before COVID?
Before COVID, I would say I had a more regular schedule because I think everybody was more, with a 9 to 5 kind of schedule and they knew exactly what they were doing at what time. I think everybody had a routine. We did a lot of in-person events. Ray and I would see each other every week. And unfortunately, that obviously changed. I'm a people person, right? I thrive off of one-on-one personal connections. I think I do very, very well getting to know people and, I'm big on birthdays and sending a cute little reminder and, like, hey, let's go have lunch, let's grab coffee, those kind of things. And obviously, the minute COVID hit, it was like, not only can we not do lunch, not do coffee, not do events, not do networking, but everybody's life was kind of thrown for a loop because sometimes the people who have children at home can't necessarily work 9 to 5 now because they're,
Right.
babysitting or, and not just that, but then on, there's different times of people all over the world now became accessible in the same way because we are all literally online because that's the only way we can possibly work. And so not only were we not even seeing our coworkers, but we were stuck at home. And for me as a people person, working from my house was terrible. I hated it. I could not wait to come back to the office. I would come to the office every few days, to do certain things. But my job, I think, is a little more difficult because I have a lot of client files and they're voluminous files. They have a lot of information. And people are like, well, it's all in your computer. Yeah, but I can't open 57 windows in my computer at the same time versus having 57 little piles on my desk in my office. So I struggled at first as a millennial being fully remote when all of my counterparts were like, finally the time has come, like big corporations have realized that they'll never be able to bring us back into the office. Whatever. I'm the complete opposite. I was like, take me back to my office. I'm ready to go.
Right.
But I realized one thing, right? All of my marketing, all of my networking, and all of my connections in my business were done in person. I was completely avoiding the online part because I'm a millennial and I use Instagram and I use Facebook, but I don't have an email campaign. I don't have a website. I don't have a newsletter. And then I was like, it was March and I have a goal for myself every year and I pace myself and I check myself to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Is it working? Is it not working? Am I bringing in what I'm supposed to be bringing in? And I said, if I don't change this like right now drastically, I'm going to have the crappiest year that I've had ever, like worse than my first year as an attorney.
Right.
And so, I think it's forced everybody outside of the craziness in our schedules and the emotional components and psychological components of not seeing people and not going to events. I think it was a huge reality check for people like me that were avoiding the internet.
That's right.
And, I was like, man, I better get up to speed quick because if I don't get up to speed, I'm going to get left behind.
Right. And what's weird is that even with me, I'm in the digital marketing world. I also kind of love the in-person events. I love the versus just having a phone call or a Zoom call. I did Zoom, very rarely. So now it's become my new life. But I must say, you know what, but because of COVID, it's also set me as not a millennial, it's kind of set me back like, wait a second, Ray, you should be doing A, B, and C that you should have been doing a long time ago. And now I'm like, I'm thriving. I'm like, let me do this digitally. Let me do this digitally. In addition, just to kind of network or have these conversations. In the past, I would just kind of think about, doing this for my business, but never to kind of do things that I always wanted to, like have this meeting that we're having now. So I'm super duper excited of what COVID has brought. And I'm not gonna lie, it is sad to know of all the people that have passed. The other people have gotten infected. I do have two parents that are still alive. They're 80 years young. And I will tell you that if it's taught me to appreciate not only them, my family overall, as a whole, because to have family these days after this whole pandemic, it's a big deal. And your life is most of our lives is about our family because we have to disconnect at one point. So, and it's taught me that as well. So kudos to you. That's a great story. So, but now we're going to fast forward to life after COVID. Not to say that it's over, okay? I am an optimist because I know it's going to be over. But life after COVID, as we see things opening up more, just kind of being able to kind of go and have a drink if I may, or go to a restaurant to eat. With that being said, what is life now after COVID, or while it's kind of somewhat being?
So our firm does family law, real estate, business law, and then estate planning. And what happened was in real estate, everyone kind of freaked out for a second. All the contracts that were going on, cancel, give me my money back, don't give me my money back, I don't care, I'm not closing. So we held our breath there for a moment. We were very worried. But what has ended up happening has been the complete opposite of what everybody immediately thought for our industry. I know a lot of people have been affected, a lot of people continue to be affected, but luckily we have been very blessed to have an immense amount of work. We have hired 3 new staff members. We just hired our first associate after me. Our firm is growing and thriving. I'm working until 7 or 8 o'clock at night every night. And I am not, saying that that's great, but obviously the work is there and we're blessed to have it and we're happy to do it. And we're just taking advantage, right? Because I think there is a degree of uncertainty. And I think, too, as a business owner, right? When you have those high periods, you're like, man, we're killing it. We got to take advantage of this because it's not going to last forever. Right. And sometimes it's just your new level, right? You reach a new level and we're hoping it's our new level and God willing, that is what it is. But, for now, we are trying to be very moderate about the way that we grow and we expand because that every business that grows has to scale their growth appropriately so that you don't just crumble after, you're growing too quickly. Mm-hmm. And then B, we as business owners also have a responsibility, which I know you share, that when you bring on someone, you're committing to pay a salary. And I don't want to have to turn around and say, hey, look, I can't afford you anymore.
Correct, not at all.
That's not an option, So it's been a roller coaster ride. We have been very, very busy, very, very blessed. And we, are hoping that this is how it continues to be from here on.
And why do you think you guys have been busy versus other places that have not been?
It's also kind of a sad story, but divorces, the family law has really been crazy. It exploded immediately, beginning at the start of the pandemic. And, a lot of people that had an okay relationship that went to work and escaped that reality for some time now are stuck in the same house the whole day in the same environment. And they don't really have that chance to escape that reality like they did when they left work. And maybe it was just a few hours at night, Saturday and Sunday on the weekend. So we do think that a lot of couples just with the stressors, even if they had a great relationship, if they didn't know how to manage the stress properly or they didn't have good communication, the pandemic has exacerbated all of that. And so the divorces have been crazy. But then after the initial freak out in real estate, interest rates are historically low. And so then obviously that has led to an enormous amount, record-breaking number of files in our office every single month. And, closings at 8:30 at night, 9 o'clock. And, we do them because we understand that there is certain reasons why those files have to close on those days. And we've been able to also provide the level of customer service that, lenders and realtors need when they're in a situation like that. And that's earned us more business. And so there's a number of factors, but, we have also, going back to the last thing that we were talking about, was when you and I used to do the in-person events and we used to go networking and we used to go have a drink and coffee and dinner and whatever, you and I are only one person. We can only meet with 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 people. Yep. But going online has completely changed the game because it's like creating little clones of yourself everywhere. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I sent you an email, go to my website, leave me a Google review, so those kind of things that I could never do myself at the same time while having dinner with you or lunch or whatever. Right. There's constantly some sort of reminder that Claudia Cobreiro exists, that she's an attorney, and that if you need attorneys, you can call our office, right? And so then it's been not only, the perfect storm with the pandemic, but it's been that shift that we were reluctant to make because we hate the internet. I hate the internet. And I've been like, why didn't I do this sooner? So it's kind of been a blessing in disguise, but it's been a number of factors. But I would say that those are the top reasons why, we're doing so well. Just as a side note, I had a goal last year. It was my year-end goal. I was so close. I did not meet it. I was very disappointed. Okay. But you as a business owner also know you can't dwell on those things because why? What am I going to do? Shut down my business and, switch careers? No, we got to dust it off and go again. And so we did that. And this year I said, I didn't meet my goal last year, but I'm going to make my goal from last year bigger this year because even though I didn't meet it, we got to do better. Ray, I met that goal in June. Now it's like
6 months. Wow.
That's amazing. Like, what is going on? And, and now my goal for the end of the year is to double what was originally my goal. And, the business is out there, and if you're doing the right things, if you have the right attitude, and if you just dust yourself off and do it again.
How many hours you work in a day? So it's normal, right? So it's normal for me to wake up at 6 a.m. and go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and work, because you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, or whatever, familypreneur, whatever you want to call it. All we do is work about, think about business. When there's a holiday, we're like, oh no, oh great, I could do work on that holiday versus kind of relaxing.
I can catch up on Saturday.
Yeah,
the lie of the century. Like seriously, that's, it's a period. And I tell myself, and I do try to, I'm terrible. This is like my biggest flaw, I will tell you. I'll be honest with you when it comes to business, is that I have no boundaries when it comes to my business. And I know that as time goes on, I realize that they're necessary and the reasons that they're necessary. So I'm trying to be stricter on myself to obey those boundaries that I need to put in place. But I mean, I've been waking up now at 5:30 in the morning to go to the gym at 6:15. It's only been like 2 weeks, but give me the credit.
It's okay. That's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks.
Yeah. And so then I get to the office, let's say around 9:30, between 9:30, 10, and I've been leaving usually around 8 o'clock at night. But it's like you leave, and on my way to the office, I'm on calls. And on my way out of the office, I'm on calls, or I'm replying to emails, or I got home last night at 10 o'clock and I reviewed a contract. And, but yes, that is not my goal. It's a growing phase. That's what I'm hoping it is. And that eventually I'll be able to take some of those things off of my plate and delegate them to someone.
Some people don't realize that. I can tell you, them dealing with a lot of brand new business owners, they don't understand that. They think it's a 9 to 5. It's like, wait a second, just so you know, you're in the wrong line of work if you're going to try to do a 9 to 5 right now. You're trying to grow your business, and growing your business is open like 24/7, literally.
Yeah, especially when you start.
They don't understand. People don't understand. But that being said, we're almost done here, just so you know. What do you think about this so far?
Super cool.
Super cool.
I love doing it. Yes, let's do it again.
So let's talk about so as we're kind of wrapping up the next 10 within the next 10 minutes. One of the things, the advice you would give yourself 1 year ago. So if you can go back 1 year ago and give yourself some advice, what would that be? Knowing what you know today, what would that be?
I think I already touched on it. It's the fact that I was so reluctant to do the digital online marketing aspect of it. There's a lot of things that I, by luck, by fortune, because a little birdie whispered it in my ear, I don't know, I've done very well. If anybody out there does not have a Google profile, thumbs down for you. The first thing you need to do when you finish here is go create your Google page.
And the weird part about it is that it's free. And it's like, wait a second, and you haven't done it? Why? Because it's free? I just don't get it. I'm too busy. But it's free. I don't get it. But hey, this is what people pay me to do. No problem. I'll build your profile. I mean, again, at the end of the day. So, but what can, some people are just the way they are. And this is where I mentioned that, these people are not lazy, but they're lazy as far as trying to do what they should be doing. My mom, who's 80 years young, and she's alive and well, thank goodness, she has an iPhone. And guess what? I never thought she would be good with an iPhone. She'd be like FaceTiming me like, yo, what's up, son? And I'm like, what? And she doesn't live far away from me. So I'm like, this is my mom at 80 years old.
That's
awesome. Again, there's no excuse. There's really no excuse.
Exactly.
So, but with that being said, thank you for that. And then I agree 100%. So now, how do you market yourself today, your firm? What do you do? Are you doing exactly what you're doing, or now you're more enhanced?
So really, as a firm, we started an Instagram page during COVID, and, we have it and we post and we try to have an audience there. But I think that the most success that we have had all individually as attorneys has been through marketing ourselves, our personality, who we are. Even though as a firm, we're a great team, we all have our individual strengths and weaknesses. And, I market myself, Claudia Cobreiro, and you look me up on Instagram, I'm Claudia C_ESQ, and I tell you about my day, and, I tell you what I do, and that I go to Orange Theory, and the kind of songs that I listen to. And so my audience connects with me and who I am. And, every one of us in the firm has a different audience. And I think that's part of our success and part of, what a great team we make, because we all bring in something different to the table. But, that has been my number one marketing tool until now. I post on stories, I tell you about my life, those kind of things. And then, Google, I have a Google profile. I am a part of a real estate chat. And this morning we had the conversation of what is the best platform for you to amass your reviews on. And they talked about Yelp, and they talked about Google, and they talked about, because it's realestaterealtor.com and those kind of things. And
Avo too, right?
For us, exactly, that's the equivalent of our Avo as attorneys. Yeah. I have reviews on Avo. I have reviews on Yelp. I have reviews on Google. Google is where I'm putting all my reviews right now, because Avo comes up if you're looking for Avo, but when you type in my name, Avo is not the first thing that comes up.
Good for you.
The same thing happens with, Yelp, and Yelp has an even bigger issue in my opinion, and it could be different for different industries. But if the Yelp user does not actually post on Yelp often, Yelp puts your review or their review of you as a not recommended review because they think it's spam, or you created the account just to leave yourself a review, whatever. So when I first started, like my first 7 reviews, I would be like, please leave me a review if you had good service. Of course, I'm over here like jumping through hoops to make sure they have the best experience possible. My first 7 Yelp reviews, you go to my Yelp profile, I have 0 reviews because they're all hidden. So I was like, we need to abort mission. I need to go a different way. And what I was saying today about Google is, you type in my name in Google, my phone number, my website, my address, a picture of me, a picture of my office, all these things pop up. They don't even have to scroll. And what are we trying to do here? Make it easy for the consumer, right?
That's it.
So how much easier could you make it for a consumer than to create a Google profile? But I haven't started my email marketing campaign, but I'm working on it, which is progress from 1 year ago today.
Yes.
And, same thing. I haven't started my website, but I know and I have acknowledged the need for a website, but it's just having that online presence. I have a Facebook profile. I do social media a lot. My target audience responds well to that, but obviously
and not to mention, you're busy. You're getting work. You have a profile. Some people don't even have the profile. So when someone comes up to me and talks about a website, I'm saying, well, let's talk about your profile. It doesn't exist versus existing. The fact that it exists is, man, far more better than some other people that don't have anything. Trust me, I hear it literally every day, literally. And I'm one to tell them, listen, let's not talk about what you want. Let's talk about what you need. You don't have money. Maybe you should do this first until you get some money. And I recommend that all day long. So the last question, right? So I asked you about if you had $1,000, what would you spend it on, right? Just asked you that.
Yes.
So I guess one of the most important question would be, if somebody wanted to connect with you and learn more about you, as you mentioned so many times, how can they find you? Your Cubanism, your Miamiism, your millennialism, so on. How can someone find you, or even if they wanted to connect with you? Because thankfully, because of COVID, we are all now digitally available to do business anywhere in this amazing state, world we live in. So it's amazing. So with that being said, please provide that information. So we're gonna put it in the show notes in the bottom of this video, but we also want you to kind of be so kind to give us some information how to connect with you.
So number one, I would recommend my Instagram. I said it earlier, it's at Claudia, my first name, C, my last initial, _ESQ. If you want to learn about my day, I've started doing IGTVs and little stories about different golden nuggets in real estate and in law, and what are demand letters and what is mediation. And so, people have enjoyed that. The feedback on that has been very, very good. I also just, keep you updated on millennial news and a couple memes here and there to lighten the mood. Nice. So that's number one. Number two is my cell phone. My cell phone is 786-973-6644. If I don't pick up when you call, you leave me a message, you got to call the same day.
I was about to ask you, I said, do you pick up your phone? Because some people don't.
You know what my number one investment of COVID-19 has been?
Yeah, you're pros, right?
Yeah, I literally, right before COVID-19, I was like, AirPods are so whack. I hate people that walk around with those things. They look like they're in the 90s with the Motorola. You remember the Bluetooth?
Yeah, I do.
I was like, that's so whack. And then
people still do that now. People still do that right now. Just so you know.
I don't take them off. I am the modern Motorola. It's just more expensive and it's from Apple. It's the same.
Right.
I'm on the phone constantly. If I'm not at a hearing or a deposition or something like that, I pick up the phone, I answer. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have been very successful early on. And I know that one of the chamber chats that I attended, that was one of the conversations during COVID-19. People would call certain businesses and businesses wouldn't answer. And I get it. People had a lot on their plate, but that's a priority. Even if you pick up to say, I can't help you right now, but I'll call you back.
People don't understand that being busy is a pleasure. It's such a blessing, right? And sometimes it's a curse, they say. Because guess what? I'm not able to reply to you right away, but I will. So please work with me as everyone else would. So at the end of the day, but that's what I've seen on and on and on again. So with that being said, I'm gonna give you the last word. If you have anything else you want to say before we close, because we are about to close.
You should watch these videos and see what everybody would have told themselves 1 year ago. I'm going to go do it after this, and I'm going to see what I need to be doing now so that next year I'm not in their shoes.
Amen to that. Listen, Claudia, this was amazing. Thank you for your time today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. I love the fact that you've confirmed your millennialism, because some people actually shy away from that. And again, but you're exactly what is expected. When you get the older folks talking about millennials, they don't think of you. And again, but guess what? You exist, and guess what? You're vibrant, and you're here to taking no prisoners, which I love about you. So with that being said, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Awesome.